patro sotto, whatever you say in Italian for the sign of the cross.
Nomen Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, amen.
I'm Greg. Gregorio.
And I am John.
Giannio.
Giovanni. 3 years of high school Latin.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Martin Scorsese put out a movie. It's called Silence.
He did do that.
Let's all just take a moment of silence. And that's our review. You can subscribe today. Okay, so this movie's about two Jesus priests. That's what they're called, right?
Jesus priests. They're two Jesuit priests.
Two Jesuit priests played by Adam Driver and Andrew Garfield, the actor from Girls and the actor from The Social Network. Those are their most famous roles.
Definitely.
And Liam Neeson, the star of Schindler's List, has been taken...
That was not planned.
That wasn't planned.
That's good. Yes, Liam Neeson was taken.
This takes place like what, 1800s or something. They go to Japan, where in Japan like Christianity's outlawed, but they're trying to spread Christianity.
So it's like Taken if Liam Neeson was the kidnapped person, and instead of shooting everybody in Europe, it's just preaching the gospel to everyone in Japan.
Exactly.
It is the same movie. Couch Tomato.
In this movie, though, it's almost 3 hours long, and it's really captivating. It's fairly slow. It takes its time. It's paced in a way that takes its time, and it's slower than most Scorsese films. While Scorsese has done films that move rather slow, this one is definitely not the pacing of like The Departed or Goodfellas or Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah,
the direction is not very intrusive in this film.
No.
There are some Scorsese flourishes that you can pick up throughout, but I think you said this out loud, and I was thinking it too, it feels more like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie than a Martin Scorsese movie.
And Paul Thomas Anderson films have always felt like a slower Scorsese film.
Exactly. Like, it's still got a rhythm of some kind. You're going to watch some real life moments play out.
Exactly.
There's not going to be a heck ton of dialogue.
This movie's all about the journey of Andrew Garfield's character. Father Rodriguez, played by Andrew Garfield, he plays a man from Portugal. And both Adam Driver and Andrew Garfield are heavily influenced by the teachings that Liam Neeson passed along about Catholicism, Christianity. They don't never say Catholicism, but it is Catholicism, right? I mean, they're priests from Italy. It has to be.
It's at least Christianity. I don't know if it's exactly Catholicism. They also relate to his mission, too, because, you know, like, I get the sense at the beginning of the movie they're coming back from someplace else. They're really out there doing the Lord's work and, you know, helping the converted.
Martin Scorsese is Catholic in real life. This isn't a preachy film necessarily, even though it might start off in a way where you think it might go down that route of like, you know, you got to be Catholic by the end of this film. It's really not about that. It's strictly about the subject of faith, and the faith that they happen to touch upon is Catholicism or Christianity. Watching this film, though, I couldn't help but draw comparisons between Andrew Garfield's work in Hacksaw Ridge and Andrew Garfield's work here, because they're both characters that are being condemned and challenged by others based upon their faith. That, you know, like it's all about sticking to their faith, you know, having to use that as a tool of survival the entire time. This goes down a much darker psychological path, though, as opposed to what they do in Hacksaw Ridge.
Well, because I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge, but this movie, Silence, feels like just a kind of a rumination on the whole idea of faith in general, because it's easy to kind of cram a movie like this or to roll your eyes going in thinking like it's going to be super duper preachy. And while it does have moments that do seem like they are kind of exalting the Christian message, it does sort of look at the effects of faith, religious faith, on all these characters from various different sides, and it paints this really complicated picture of that, you know?
And it also has challenging questions in there, like, are you helping people truly by trying to pass along your faith, or are you imposing and causing condemnation by trying to help out people with faith? Because a lot of this, the first half of it, actually throughout the whole film, it really explores what it's happening to the Japanese people specifically.
Yeah, this is at a very shaky time for just Japanese culture and stuff. You know, a lot of this movie takes place in these very poor little villages, you know, on the coast. It deals with the persecution of you know, Christians in that area, and you know, sort of, you can use this as sort of a broad spectrum metaphor for just about any faith, because every faith has persecuted and been persecuted sort of at some point. That's what's so interesting about this movie for me, because I feel like this is like, what would Jesus do to the furthest extent of the movie, because each obstacle that they come across and each new place that they go forces them to make a different kind of decision. And the whole movie is really like Andrew Garfield is struggling with these really big ideas about faith versus just the life you're actually living down here.
Yeah, exactly, because he's trying to believe in something higher. He's trying to believe that there's some bigger miracle surrounding this whole horrible process that he's going through, but he can't help but be affected by what he's seeing directly in front of him, which are a lot of these Japanese people are being tortured to death. I don't know how many of you guys grew up truly religious. We met in Catholic school.
We did.
And I was a pretty devoted Catholic growing up. I know what it's like to feel the weight of guilt and sin very heavily.
Going to hell.
God being very disappointed in you, possibility of going to hell. I've had to deal with a lot of that for many years of my life, actually, probably up until I was like 15 or 16 when I started kind of dying, dwindling it down a little bit. Dying. There's these moments where they're like, okay, all you have to do to get away from this is step on, the face of Jesus. While to the outsider perspective of someone who hasn't had to deal with faith, I'm sure people can probably get their own personal opinions in there and be like, I don't get why they just don't do it. It's not a big deal. But from growing up Catholic, that is something like, even if someone had a gun to me, I would be like, I don't know if I could do that. Because you might kill me and I might go to hell. The
whole point, is like the true faith, even when faced with death, you will not betray it. And that's a really sort of complicated issue in this movie, that we see from, again, a bunch of different sides. And that's what makes the sort of mystery of the whole thing. Because the whole movie, you're sort of wondering about Liam Neeson's character in a bunch of different ways. And I feel like this is a cool movie that kind of paints this picture. And by the time you get the answers you were looking for, you also have like just a human growth journey wrapped around that. So it really earns, at least to me, it really earned everything that it is. Because I've heard some complaints that it's, slow and it's not overly engaging. But this, to me, was a really human movie. And I feel like that's what a lot of faith movies are missing. Not that this is necessarily a faith-based movie in the way that we usually use that terminology, but like this is all about life, and people's convictions and what happens to them and the different ways in which you are confronted.
Yeah, and it's really about the struggle to maintain faith too.
Yeah.
Like the fight to maintain faith. I think it's a great movie because you find yourself talking a lot about the subject and the themes of the film more than like plot points necessarily.
Well, yeah, because this is one of those movies where just like one scene directly kind of leads to the next one. This is one of those movies that sort of unfolds from one scene to the next, and you really live with Adam Driver and Andrew Garfield, and then just Andrew Garfield after a while.
Yeah. If you want to talk about like film elements besides subject and theme, I think the whole idea was to provoke thought from this whole film. Yeah. The whole idea is to get you thinking and talking about the subject.
And feeling.
Because you could walk out of this going, this isn't the most like thrilling film at times. Yeah, because it takes its time, it slows down, it goes through moments where you get Andrew Garfield really contemplating. He kind of has this like descending, I want to call it like a character arc. It's more like a character descent.
Well, yeah,
he's like falling apart. He kind of starts martyrizing himself, kind of imagining himself to be like a reincarnated Jesus in a way. Yeah, exactly. Watching that progress go is really interesting,
Yeah.
But Andrew Garfield, yes, he does an amazing job. And with the way, maybe if you saw Hacksaw Ridge, you might be going, this is very similar to his role in Hacksaw Ridge. But as the film progresses, it definitely goes down routes his character never went through in Hacksaw Ridge.
He's got an accent.
He's got a different accent. This one's got an accent in Hacksaw Ridge.
Totally other guy.
Adam Driver, I had a harder time getting past at first.
Yeah, I mean,
especially because he's just quiet in the beginning a lot,
That's not possible. Father Ferreira risked his life to spread our faith all over Japan.
It seems to me that our mission here is more urgent than ever. We must go find Father Ferreira.
It took me time to really latch on to both of them, honestly, like especially at the beginning. But, the more time we spent with them both, the more I got into them. And to be fair to Andrew Garfield, he has all of the movie to get that done.
Yeah.
But even Adam Driver, got me engrossed in him, and I did kind of let him recede into the character after a while.
Yeah.
But the supporting cast is terrific too, and they're
all the Asian actors are amazing.
Yeah.
All the Asian actors are fantastic. And it was really interesting to see this culture clash. Because these people are practicing Christianity in secrecy. It was so fascinating to see that. Like, they're not doing anything like, oh, there's clouds in the sky, that's God, God's really...
Yeah.
This is really just about the mental faith of,
This is the most, like, real-life movie regarding faith I at least have ever seen.
Yeah, Scorsese's not going out of his way to say God exists in this world,
Yeah.
He's leaving it up to you to decide whether God is real or not.
And it toes that line really elegantly, because things will happen where you'll find yourself just like anybody would. Again, it gets you thinking and feeling, because you start to think, yeah, man, give it up. And then something will happen that will bring hope, and you'll be like, oh yeah, maybe. And it does feel
Yeah.
a lot like life,
A
even
lot
though
of,
it's
a lot of time Andrew Garfield's like, this is a sign from God, and then
Yeah.
something terrible just happens right away.
yeah, exactly. It's like, but then hey, at just when all hope is lost, here is
Yeah.
something like done in the nick of time,
And, out of a 2-hour and 45-minute movie, Liam Neeson is technically not in this film for that long.
not in much
but
of
he
this
does make a strong impression in this film.
Totally.
He's not a forgettable role at all. By telling you what he does with his character, it would give away plot points of the film. What I have to say is, like, it's so great seeing Liam Neeson in like a true acting role again.
Yeah, that was
He's not
very
just a tough guy
gratifying.
like, I'm gonna kick everyone's ass into believing in Christ. You know,
he
like,
does not kick one ass.
No,
in
he
this
doesn't.
movie.
He's all about not kicking ass.
In fact, he gets tortured pretty terribly.
And the cinematography is excellent. Like the
Yeah.
landscapes, like especially the beach shots. Anytime they're arriving onto water, because anytime they go onto water, it's like the fishermen they can't like go to the land, so they're like,
Yeah.
you gotta start swimming. But every time that happened, it looks so beautiful. It's one of those haunting dark films that also looks beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, all the shots are really well composed, and
Yeah.
everything does look kind of like a painting. And whenever the camera does move, or whenever tricky editing does come in, it's always
Yeah.
at the right time, and it's always very deliberate.
And the film
it's
is also,
austere.
And even though the film explores a lot of Japan, it also is a very contained film. Because a lot of the time, these people are practicing the secrecy, so they can't go a lot of places. There's a good amount of time where, like, Andrew Garfield just has to stay hidden. They're just staying in the place they're allowed to stay at, but they just stay indoors the whole time. Or there's prisons and stuff, so everything's very contained at the same time.
Well, yeah, you're always sort of contained to the situation at hand. There's not a lot of jumping around, and for a lot of it, you're kind of on either Andrew Garfield or just the people in the scene in a really intent
Yeah.
way. There's a lot of close stuff because so much of this movie is in the nuance of the performances, and there's dialogue, but it's sparse.
And if you guys want violence, like, there's some real, some like different kinds of torture in this film for sure that I've never seen. It's not like
definitely stark.
It's not grotesquely violent, but it's still very disturbing. Because they
yeah.
usually start with psychological torture, like, we really want you to not believe, so you gotta say some things that would make you feel like shit for saying this.
Yeah.
Step on Jesus and all that. But some of the torture sequences, like, I was kind of wondering how they shot some of those. Like, when they're in the
Yeah.
water and they're hanging, and then they're, like, in the middle of the water, and the takes are just going. I'm like, it looks like they really strapped those actors to something, and they're so far away. Some of the shots are so far away. I'm like, it looks like these actors really had to suffer through a lot of these scenes.
It looks real. It looked like those guys just agreed to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe they, I can see you getting something out of that.
Yeah.
Putting yourself in those shoes as an actor.
And one of my favorite things about Scorsese films, too, is how he edits a lot of his scenes to the use of music. And he's very specific about his music. And there's really not a lot of music in this film.
Yeah, just shipping off to Boston. Like,
Yeah, shipping off to Boston. It's a fucking Rolling Stone song he always plays. Just a shot away.
Yeah.
It's like in 3 Scorsese films.
But yeah, like when there is music, I mean, it's always distinct, but not too in your face, and it
sounds like people could be playing this in a village.
yeah, exactly. Well,
Even that crazy violin song,
yeah.
like that even sounds like that could just be someone playing it, right? In its background.
Well, yeah, and even the world too. Like you pointed this out, and I thought it was great. Is most movies keep room tone. This movie has just like world tone. Like
Yeah.
you can hear things going on outside, and like the sound
Exactly.
of the world is there.
Like early on when they get to Japan, when they fortunately get a bump into a group of people who are secret Christian believers. Yeah, there's like a small little hut. But the whole time I felt like it was freezing, and then I realized it's because of the sound design.
Yeah.
Where you could slightly hear the ocean waves outside, you could hear the thunder a little bit, you could
Yeah,
hear the
the wind.
breeze. Yeah, and that's what tripped me out about the sound design. So for the lack of music, it makes up in great sound design for putting. That's what part of what makes it so immersive is it puts you in the atmosphere of it all too, like the harsh physical conditions they're suffering in as well. This film is a lot about suffering. This film,
Yeah.
and it's also a lot. It's primarily about faith, if you want to keep it plain and simple, but it's really about the struggle to maintain faith, the complexities, and the willingness to try to, especially with Liam Neeson's character, the willingness to try to challenge what you originally believed too.
Nothing has precedent until something happens. Just like he says
Yeah.
that in Sully, and like I feel like this is another movie that touches that, is making the next most refined choice when
Right.
when you're faced with a situation you didn't have to be faced with before. And I feel like for those discussions in this movie, it's kind of worth it whether you're into faith or not.
Yeah, every moment, even the moments where they choose to like when the people decide, okay, we're gonna step on Jesus, or
Yeah.
like there's a cowardly character in here. Even in those moments, you're like, what does it mean to be scared, and what does it mean to go against your faith? If it means survival, over death, over someone who just doesn't understand, is it okay to do this act? So this film gets you thinking, especially if you grew up with religion. I feel like if you didn't grow up with religion, you might not be as into this film, honestly. Because this film is more for people that I feel that take some type of fascination by the subject of religion.
Well, yeah, and you kind of gotta be fascinated by religion and also sociology, because it does explore all these things from a very human perception.
Yeah. And especially the perception of that time, too.
Yeah, I think those are the things to keep in mind going in if there isn't that sort of built-in understanding, is like, times were different. This was life and death to some people. This was the key, especially when, it's a more primitive time. There's not as much tech and access to stuff, and medicine's not where it's at. Back in the days, people really believed really hard because there wasn't much else.
I don't care if people say this is a slow film. I think that at times this film is incredibly suspenseful and incredibly intense.
Yeah,
there are times where you're just like watching the screen.
I was never not engrossed. In fact, when we started this, I was like, "Oh boy, this is gonna be like 3 hours. I'm gonna probably have to at least, do some shit during."
It's gonna be an hour until it gets to Japan.
Yeah, and I found myself just not. I was just engrossed the whole time. Like I wasn't expecting this, and I didn't really know going in, but I think this is pretty terrific. I think it's a beautiful movie.
I think it's one of the best films of 2016 for sure.
Yeah, and it's not what I was expecting, and I really liked that experience. So if you can get into that,
it's
I think it's really worth it.
Unique.
Yeah.
It's definitely unique, and I think it's one of Scorsese's best, honestly. All right, well, if you are new to the channel, you can subscribe today. Muchas gracias, señor. John is Reasons to Jerry on Twitter and Instagram. He's also the social media manager of Facebook.com/Bloomhouse and The Real Rejects. And I want to say to Martin Scorsese, is it Scorsese or Scorsese?
Or Scorsese! Marty. Sorry.
Yeah. What do you make things weird?
It's Versace. Showgirls? I'm sorry, hold on. I'll come up with a not weird joke. How did Captain Hook die? He wiped his hands with the wrong ass with the wrong hand.